Is Rio dangerous? Am I going to get robbed? And do you need to avoid Copacabana Beach? Welcome to another Gaz Right video, and this is going to be talking about safety in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Spent the last 5 days traveling this absolutely unbelievable place, and a few little tips and tricks to make sure you have an unbelievable time. We did see a robbery take place, and it's going to be a weird thing to say because I'm still going to recommend it and say I think it's a fairly safe place to be. It goes without saying, like any country in the world, there are good things, there's bad things. There's a lot of things you can do just mitigate the chance of getting robbed, putting yourself in danger. I'm just going to run through those along with some of the key places to go, maybe to avoid. And as always, any questions, bang it in the old comments, or whilst you're down there, hit the old subscribe button. Still en route to 3K subs, and let's get straight into it. I think Brazil for me goes in the same category as traveling Colombia, where the perception online is so bad about it's super unsafe. You're definitely gonna have your phone stolen. Don't go around with any gold jewelry and stuff like that. And it's like any country. Do you know what I mean? You can have your phone stolen. There's loads of phones getting stolen in London. So that's probably one of the worst places. But in terms of Rio, from our experience, it's been incredibly safe, incredibly friendly. I'm pretty sure we saw somebody robbing somewhere, and they're running down the street trying to take their top off, I guess, to change what they look like, and everyone was out in the street shouting, pointing, and I guess the idea is to ultimately get the police involved. The police here, I was saying to Em, this is what all police should be like. They're all in like actual sports gear. You know what I mean? Like if you're a police officer or policewoman in the UK, you're in like a shirt and trousers. It's pretty hard to run after somebody in that. All the people here are in like shorts, proper like body armor, but with like a t-shirt on, so you can obviously easily identify them. And then they have like a gun, a baton, everything. So yeah, pretty athletic looking blokes and women. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things like in terms of deterrence, like the police there. And a few different like army patrols knocking about, as well as a huge military base right on the corner of Copacabana Beach. But I guess like anywhere, there is a deterrent, but there is obviously a still risk, and there is still a danger to it. Copacabana Beach, I think, is where most people are told it is super dangerous. Me and Em spent the whole day there yesterday on Christmas Day, sat on the beach all day. I didn't take my camera, so like the last few days, probably not been as crisp in terms of the audio and the picture quality. And we didn't take our actual phones, just have a spare phone that we took with us. So we took precautions to make sure nothing happened. But in the same instance, everyone's been super friendly to us, whether that's people that are working, street sellers, people who are trying to sell you a deck chair and a lounger, and you definitely need that here. It's like 30 odd degrees, baking in the sun yesterday. Doesn't really look like it with my tan, and apologies for the sniffles. Had a couple beer worries over the last few days over Christmas, so feeling a little bit of the old effects. But we left with like a digicam and a phone and like a little bit of money just on the beach. We put it in obviously our little man bag, left it with a few different people, like, because we wanted to go in the sea together. Again, that is a pretty risky thing to do, but it's only our spare phone. We thought, you know what, it's Christmas Day, we've got to get in the mixer together. But yeah, if you didn't want to do that, you don't have to. But we left it with 3 different sets of people. No one stole our phone. I've not been in a situation where, even when I took my vlogging camera out, like when we did like a Christ Redeemer, like the main steps and stuff like that, no one's come over. I've thought, oh, it's wary here. So I think a lot of it is perception. That being said, do just take precautions so you don't put yourself in any of those situations. One of the other things I think as well is like, danger is often when, I think, like around money, whether you're drawing money out of a cash point, whether you're paying a street seller and you're like getting money like this out your wallet or purse or whatever, or even like you give a certain amount and it's, oh, what is the change and this and that, and you're trying to count it and then put it back in your purse or wallet. Here, everywhere takes card, whether you're going into like a restaurant, a bar, whether you're literally buying like a fake football t-shirt off like some bloke on the beach, or you're buying like a little like a shawl or beach towel. Every single person has a card reader, which I think again helps on the safety front, because, do you know what I mean, you're not going through your wallet trying to get that cash out. So for me, that is a big, obviously, yeah, bonus, big positive. On the negatives or places to maybe avoid, I've not got any from any personal experience, but from chatting to Marco, who ran our trip up to Christ the Redeemer, he said if you are going to go on a favela tour, do not go to the northern favelas. So all the tours will actually go to the southern ones. If you're going to go on your own, which I think is pretty loose behaviour anyway, but I know there'll be a few daredevils out there, make sure you go to the southern ones. And then if you are going to do Christ the Redeemer, again, it was absolutely fine for us, no problem at all around safety. but I would avoid walking up. I've seen so much stuff online where that is a big place for getting stuff stolen. If you walk from Rio, the way up is not the same as the road way up there where you would drive, and apparently that is a pretty loose place for a little bit of the old criminal activity, stealing phones, wallet, watches, and stuff like that. So that's one place I would avoid. It does help when you're exploring a city. Me and Em like just going, getting in the mixer, seeing what's going on, having a walk round. We've done that in Copacabana, Copacabana Beach. Definitely not how you pronounce it, but the beach next to Copacabana, and we've had no problems. But when you're walking around with a local, it makes such a difference. So we did sunrise, we did the steps, we did, I can't remember the name of it now, but you watched the sunrise over Rio. We actually didn't watch the sunrise because the visibility was terrible, but the point I'm making is, if you do a trip and you're walking around with a local, it's a completely different experience. Do you know what I mean? You don't have people coming up to you, you have that added layer of safety. If you speak Portuguese here, that's going to massively help out. If you speak Spanish, people obviously speak Spanish as well. But I guess it works both ways. If you don't speak Portuguese and people don't speak English, it's pretty hard for people to speak to you. That's what we find on our front. But yeah, being with a local on that trip, we went to loads of different places. Christ Redeemer, you're kind of just wandering, walking through like the streets, especially near the steps as well. I say the steps, you'll know the actual name. It's where the Chilean guy Jorge designed with all the mosaic. That was what I would class as a pretty rough, pretty loose area. You know what I mean? From the old Bolton, so we can drop that on here without people getting offended. That's a place I would not go to on your own. If you are going to go to Christ Redeemer on your own, I think that'll be fine. There's loads of security, loads of different layers to it. I guess as well. But yeah, for me, overall, it's weird that obviously I said we saw somebody like stealing something and running up the street, but I've seen that in loads of different countries, seen it loads in the UK. So I've actually seen loads of people get their phone stolen, like in the UK as well. So it's like, it happens everywhere. You just got to take the precautions. So I would just have a spare phone, or if you do have a camera and stuff, I have like the thing that goes around your wrist. Just added layers of security. The fact you can pay card everywhere, there's a lot of deterrence in terms of the military, in terms of the old police. So for me, I think it is a fairly safe place. It gets a bad rep online. That doesn't mean you can't get robbed here. Take those precautions to mitigate them. But we've had an unreal time. Like, this is a city where it's got a real buzz. It's super vibey. We've only had one good day of like pure sun. We're here in December, so for anyone coming traveling Rio, I would come mid to late January to April time. That's when you're going to be in peak summer. At the minute, it's really bloody hot every day, but it's also like part of their rainy season, so it is a little bit rainy. When I say a little bit rainy, it's been like pure Clyde for 3 days. We had Christmas Day, which was like beautiful sun on the beach, beers flowing, have an unbelievable time. So yeah, my top 3 highlights would obviously be Copacabana Beach, is absolute quality. And then obviously Christ the Redeemer goes without saying, and then a surprise one, because I didn't think I'd be saying this, but the botanical gardens are actually unbelievable as well, because £10 to get in, flair for JPEGs, flair for you bird watchers out there. Shader would be absolutely loving it, and it's also cool, they have loads of monkeys. There's like some monkey like attached and grabbing around Em as well. So yeah, pretty cool little setup, would highly recommend. And then the final point I was going to make around, and I keep saying this for every single country in South or Central America, when someone's like trying to sell you something, whether it's like a tuk-tuk ride or whether it's a food, drinks, a souvenir, something like that, I think the difference between a few countries in Asia, we're not naming names, we don't want to fire things up too much, to South America, is that in those countries, it's very much like a pester. It's a 5, 6, 7 stage, no, I don't want it. Whereas in South America, I find that everything is a 1-stage transaction. There's so many people selling you stuff, so many people on their grind, trying to make a living, but it is do you want to buy this? No, and then that's the end of the transaction. It doesn't really feel threatening at any point. So yeah, again, that links into the safety piece. So for me, Rio is an absolute banger. If we'd have had better weather, I think it would be even higher in terms of my favourite cities, countries and stuff like that, because Christ the Redeemer overlooking Rio, Copacabana, the city, the favelas, you need good weather for it to be absolutely sensational. Do you know what I mean? It was great going seeing a wonder of the world, but it did just taint it ever so slightly, the fact that, you know what I mean, like the view was absolutely terrible looking over the city. But yeah, for me, gets a seal of approval. I would say it is a fairly safe place. I'm not going to sit here and say it's exactly the same as like Singapore and you can go out and you flash jewellery in this, take the steps, don't go out in jewellery, take a spare phone, don't be wandering around with your camera, take your pictures and then put your phone away. But yeah, for me, we've had no problems, would highly recommend. But as always, question in the comments. If you want to see what we've been up to, go back. We've done a day vlog on every single day we've been here. The last few days just been using a spare phone, so it's been absolutely all over the place, just random clips left, right and centre, but genuinely one of the best Christmases I've ever had. And we're going to be firing up deep into 2025. Fly to Uruguay tomorrow. The content will be coming thick and fast. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you tomorrow, baby. Remember the chef. He's always cooking. Let's get it.